The History of Sound movie review. Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor's folk romance. Imagine diving into a world where the melodies of the past intertwine with the echoes of love. That's precisely what The History of Sound offers, a cinematic journey that not only explores the rich tapestry of folk music, but also delves into the profound connection between two men. Paul Mescal, known for his brooding charm in films like Aftersun and Normal People, reprises his role as a heartthrob, this time alongside the equally captivating Josh O'Connor, who has mesmerized audiences in The Crown and La Chimera. But here's where it gets truly special. Their collaboration in The History of Sound brings a fresh perspective to the romantic drama genre, with a focus on the preservation of traditional folk songs. The film, adapted from Ben Shattuck's short story, follows Lionel and David, two passionate folk music enthusiasts who meet at the Boston Conservatory in 1917. After the tumultuous years of World War I, they reunite in 1920 to embark on a musical odyssey through Maine, collecting and safeguarding folk songs while also discovering a deep emotional connection. This period piece, which premiered at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year, has been hailed as quietly epic and a masterclass in tender restraint by Els critics. So, who else is part of this musical and emotional journey? Alongside Mescal and O'Connor, the film features Molly Price, Alison Bartlett, and Chris Cooper, though the spotlight primarily shines on the dynamic duo of the male leads. Directing this poignant tale is Oliver Hermanus, known for his work on Living, with cinematography by Alexander Dynan, and his screenplay penned by Shattuck himself. When can audiences catch this cinematic gem? After its successful debut at Cannes, Movies secured the North American distribution rights, while Focus Features took on international distribution. In the United States, The History of Sound is set to grace theaters on September 12th, 2025, with a potential streaming release on Mubi to follow. And what about the trailer? It's a must-watch, featuring both O'Connor and Mescal singing. The musical performances alone make it worth the ticket price, offering a taste of the film's rich, emotional soundtrack. This story will continue to evolve as more details about the film's reception and impact are revealed. But one thing is certain, The History of Sound promises to be a beautiful exploration of music, love, and the enduring power of tradition. Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor star in The History of Sound official trailer breakdown. Get ready to witness love transcending time, war, and borders. A story so powerful it left Cannes audiences in raptures for 6 minutes straight. That's exactly what happens in The History of Sound, Oliver Hermanus' living masterpiece, starring Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor as two musically gifted souls navigating the chaos of World War I and beyond. Here's why this film isn't just a romance. It's the profound exploration of human connection and legacy. But here's where it gets controversial. Should historical dramas focus more on untold stories of male relationships like this one? The History of Sound dares to answer boldly. Based on Ben Shattuck's award-winning short stories and scripted by the Massachusetts writer himself, the film tunes into the cultural fabric of New England. Watch as Mescal's Lionel, a Kentucky-born singer, and O'Connor's David, a Boston Conservatory student, weave their lives around the battlefield. A journey shifts like a folk melody, from Boston's bustling music halls in 1917 to Maine's rural landscapes, where they collect disappearing traditional songs like curators of cultural memory. Chris Cooper steps into the frame as an older Lionel in this opera of emotions. But let's talk about the real-life connections. Shattuck, married to actor Jenny Slate, It Ends With Us, balances storytelling genius with co-owning Davos General Store. His prose, a choir of characters, per critic Chris Wagner, one that includes dry humour, immersive pacing, and genuine sorrow. The collection won the Story Prize's Spotlight Award, proof that Shattuck's voice is a symphony worth listening to. The film's Cannes premiere wasn't just a standing ovation, it was a standing testament to its power. Released on September 12th, The History of Sound becomes a cinematic artifact, much like the songs its characters rescue from oblivion. Here's the kicker. As Oscar-winning Chris Cooper's aged Lionel reflects on a life intertwined with music and longing, will audiences leave theatres humming the tune of Love, or vowing to create their own legacies? So, does the history of sound strike a chord with you? Or do you believe historical romances should focus solely on grand battlefields rather than intimate emotional landscapes? Share your thoughts. We're all ears. The History of Sound trailer, Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor's Poetic WWH love story, coming September 12th. Here's a love story that's rewriting the rules of cinematic intimacy and sparking debates about how we define queer narratives. Introducing The History of Sound, the latest film from Oliver Hermanus, a poetic World War I genre tale starring Paul Mescal, Gladiator 2, and Josh O'Connor, The Crown, which has already turned heads with its first trailer. But this isn't just another period drama. It's a bold exploration of music, memory, and the quiet revolutions of the heart. And this is the part most people miss. The film isn't just about love, it's about how love is shaped by the stories we choose to preserve. Adapted from Ben Shattuck's Pushcart Prize-winning short story, the film follows Lionel, Mescal, a gifted young musician, and David O'Connor, whose connection begins at the Boston Conservatory in 1917. Their bond, forged over shared melodies and folk traditions, is interrupted by the chaos of war. Years later, a mysterious letter from David pulls Lionel into the rugged wilderness of Maine, where they embark on a mission to collect and protect traditional songs. But this journey isn't just about music. It's about reclaiming a legacy of emotion that transcends time. As the film's title suggests, sound becomes the heartbeat of their relationship, a metaphor for how art outlives the silence of history. But here's where it gets controversial. Some viewers have drawn comparisons to Brokeback Mountain, another iconic film adapted from the prize-winning short story. However, Mescal has been vocal about rejecting the analogy. "We spent a little time in a tent, yes," he joked at Cannes, but Brokeback Mountain is about repression. This film is the exact opposite. It's about expression, about finding joy in the spaces where others see shame. To be honest, I find those comparisons lazy and frustrating. Hermanus, meanwhile, sees the comparison as a symptom of a broader issue. It shows there should be more films about these nuances of queer relationships beyond the context most movies deal with. Pete Hammond, Deadline's chief film critic, called the film a slow burn masterpiece in his Cannes review. Shot with deliberate beauty by cinematographer Alexander Dinan, the history film may unfold its own pace, but it will wrap you up and take you places movies don't often go these days, he wrote. This may be Mescal's best work in films yet. With movies securing North American rights and Focus Features handling international distribution, the film is set to debut in US theatres on September 12th. So what do you think? Is this the fresh take on queer storytelling we've been waiting for, or does it risk getting lost in the shadow of its predecessors? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree that the history of sound deserves to stand on its own, or should it be measured against classics like Brokeback Mountain?